I'm here with Amina Mara today. She is an author and a dream coach with a background in psychology from Emory University, but she is also the host of the Dream World podcast, completely centered around sleep, dreams, and exploring consciousness, and definitely focused on lucid dreaming. Now, Amina also co-founded a nonprofit organization called the Lucid Dreaming Initiative. And with her efforts in podcasting, coaching, and as a valued contributor to the International Association for the Study of Dreams, she helps pave the way for this field of research. Amina, thank you for being here. First things first, you're going to present at the conference. What's your presentation going to be about?
Yes, thank you for the kind introduction. I'm really excited for the many worlds of lucid dreaming. My presentation is basically about proposing the idea of shared dreaming or dream telepathy, really the
Interesting.
idea that two people can communicate through dreams.
Oh my gosh, say more. That is so fascinating. How does
Yeah.
that work, even?
So part of what I like to do is my content is centered around bridging the science and the metaphysical or spiritual, as some might call it. Finding that in between state of what science hasn't really understood yet. So there's been a lot of instances just leading up to now that have been recorded, or even just, in the community of people having mutual dream experiences where they share elements of the same dream, especially if you're like physically or emotionally close to the person. And so I basically take that a step further and talk about the intentional act of becoming lucid in a dream and looking for somebody you know who's also doing the same thing. So my friend and I, who is also an advanced lucid dreamer, we both have a high frequency of lucid dreams. We spent the past year like trying to do these little experiments where we exchange keywords within the lucid dream. And so
So
we've
wait, wait,
had some
wait.
interesting success.
This I need to know. So what you do is you go both in, you're both asleep, you're in your lucid dream, you find each other, and then in the dream, you basically agree on a password. So you could check if you actually dreamt about each other and you have the same password.
Yeah, so she has a password and I have a password. We don't know each other's word in the waking. So that's the key, is that in the dream we try to get the other person's word. And if I wake up and say, "Hey, is this your word?" and she's like, "Yeah," and there's no other way I could have known other than getting it from the dream, that's some pretty interesting results.
That is fascinating because it's also measurable. You know if you have it right or not, especially if you email it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's part of the what I talk about in the presentation is that time is irrelevant in a way because
Mhm.
it's an illusion, right? And we already know this in the world of physics and science that linear time only applies to our physical world. So in the dream world, which is a non-physical realm that we don't fully understand, time doesn't really matter. Like we're in different time zones and we still had some success. So that's one of the things that I suggest.
That's very interesting. So you're saying that you could even have dreams in different times. You're asleep in your time zone. She's asleep in a completely different time zone at a completely different time. So you had a dream of each other, but not at the same time. And yet in the dream you were together.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of think of it this way. Think of it as like leaving a voicemail for somebody because if I'm always intentionally sending out the word that I want her to receive, even in my waking life, I'm thinking about it. I have this word written down. I'm doing this process as I'm falling asleep of thinking of sending it to her. So she can become lucid and find my word. It's already out there in the universe and she just has to uncover it. And the brain has an interesting way of giving you like metaphors and puzzles and riddles to try to figure it out.
Oh, that's fun too. So you don't just have it literally, but sometimes through a little riddle. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's usually not literal. So that's makes it hard, to really get solid proof. But I also talk about a lot of previous experiments leading up to now, people that have paved the way for this kind of thing. And they've actually gotten statistically significant results of having dream telepathy or shared dreaming experiences. So, yeah, I also give credit to, the ones who laid the foundation.
Yeah. Because this has been around for a while, right? I remember in the 60s there were experiments around this. Are you going to go into that in your presentation as well?
Definitely, yes. I talk about what's been done before, and I also talk about the future implications of what but the potentials are with this kind of thing.
That is also very interesting. And what if I'm going to go to your presentation and I want to try this at home? Will I walk away with tips?
Yes, so we do give some lucid dreaming tips in there. The most of the presentation is just about sharing our experiences. We're not making any claims, any big theories. We're just presenting what we found, and people can decide for themselves what they believe. But we do offer some tips specifically for lucid dreaming and dream incubation, but it really comes down to the intention. So if you have a dream friend, dream partner, who has an intention, whether you're a lucid dreamer or not, you can still exchange dream information because you can have a non-lucid dream of, whatever it is that the person is trying to send you or whatever you're trying to incubate. So, lucidity is not required, but it does help.
I'm now thinking also about the fact that we might do this by accident more than we think. I mean, we don't, if I dream of a coworker, I wouldn't normally, well, I would because I'm work with dream, but most people wouldn't say, hey, I had a dream about you last night. However, one time I was asked by a radio DJ couple, and they said, we came in the morning to the studio, and I was like, hey, I had a dream about you. And the other guy was like, no way, I had a dream about you. What did you dream? Well, I dreamed this. No way, I dreamt the exact same thing. Okay, now we need a professional on it. That's when they call me. So I wonder how many times this happens by accident that we just don't know about because we don't talk about our own dreams.
All the time. Like I mentioned that too, that this is a natural phenomenon. We're just not aware of it. And that's why it's so important to normalize dream sharing. And that's why I do what I do with the podcast and all that, so that people get used to telling people, hey, I dreamt about you, even if it's, your Starbucks person or, your grocery store clerk. Like it's totally normal to dream of the people in our environment, especially like the people that we're, emotionally close to. So yeah, it happens way more often than you think. I mean, you can ask people that have kids, or people that pay attention to their dreams if they've ever had a shared dream, and a lot of people would tell you, "Oh my God, yes, this happened to me." So people just don't know that it's a thing, or they don't believe it.
And maybe it's just, I like what you say, we don't believe it because it's outside of the realm of what we deem possible. But if you put away the framework of what you think you know for a second and just look at the experience itself without putting a label on it, that's actually, for me, where the discoveries start to happen in my own life.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it makes sense. We share this physical waking world. It would make sense that our dream worlds overlap as well.
Completely different question, but how did you even get into lucid dreaming?
Good question. I've been lucid dreaming my whole life, like since I was a child. I guess I consider myself lucky in that way that it just came naturally to me. But I also honed in on this ability because I was always interested in dreams. So once I figured out, like, oh, that's what that is, that's a thing, like I can have more lucid dreams, I got into it, I built my practice. And so because of that, I am able to, have lucid dreams more often and sometimes spontaneously.
Yeah, and you coach people with dreams and lucid dreaming. In your experience, are there tips that you can give to beginning lucid dreamers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you haven't already, start writing your dreams down, because that's really, it starts with dream recall and just falling in love with all your dreams, not just the lucid ones. And the second tip is start to become more aware in your waking life. Like a lot of it is waking life awareness and mindfulness, and training your brain to just be conscious of where you are and what you're doing. And so that way, when you're in a dream, you naturally become more conscious of, hey, this is weird. I'm not supposed to be here. I was just asleep, and then it's slowly building that mental muscle.
I like that about the awareness, but also how you say basically celebrate all your dreams. They don't have to be labeled like one is better than the other.
Yeah.
Because you might not know until later, even. I've noticed when I wrote dreams down that were completely insignificant, and then later I read them back and I thought, oh, wait a minute. That actually makes a lot of sense now, but it didn't at the time.
Yeah, all dreams are important, definitely.
Yeah, even if it's just for processing something, it's
Yeah.
always, yeah, no, that's my experience as well. So, when we would go to your presentation, what would be your takeaway from it?
My takeaway is really, it's not about the specific results that we got or the specific method. It's more so about opening your mind up to the potentials of what the dream world really is and what are the possibilities of that. And that's why I talk about, what's been done in the past, what the possibilities are for the future, because we're just, self-experimenting. Like it's not formal in a lab or anything like that. It's kind of just casual experimenting, I guess. But of course, that's my goal, is to make it, more scientific and more statistically significant. And especially as technology grows, we're able to build on these types of theories. So my goal is to really just present the idea and open up discussion and normalize telling people when you dream about them.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here and telling a little bit about your presentation. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.